The QX60 is Infiniti's mid-size crossover SUV. It is a 3-row SUV, and it's one that I've always really loved from Infiniti and still do. We'll get into that as we go through the review. Recently, I have driven the QX50, the QX55, and the QX80, and now with the QX60, that's rounding up the entire SUV lineup from Infiniti. So I've got some thoughts on this compared to some of those other ones as well. Let's just start diving into it, starting with the trims. So the trims here are pretty simple and haven't changed much recently. You do have a pure, a luxe, a sensory, and an autograph. This one is a sensory. All of the trims are offered in both front-wheel drive or all-wheel drive. This one's an all-wheel drive. So we're towards the top of the lineup, but not quite the peak. But I think it's a good trim to go over because it is a very popular trim. So let's get into the details of this vehicle, starting with the exterior design. All right, and obviously this has that very Infiniti look. It is a newer design. They did update the design a couple of years ago. I have driven it since then, so we've had a lot of discussions on what the new design entails. But you do have that Infiniti grille, big Infiniti badge up there in the front. New headlights are really nice, very stylized. The headlights do have an adaptive lighting system with auto leveling function, and that comes with the vision package that is on this sensory trim. We also do have a lighting package on the sensory trim, but that entails the welcome lighting with the Infiniti logo and illuminated cargo scuff plate. There are no fog lights up here on the front, but you can see the cutouts of kind of where they would go. And overall, it's a really great looking design. I really like Infiniti's design language, very sculpted. And although this has a lot of flowing and curved lines, it's much more boxy than the previous gen, which I really like. Moving along this side, we do have power folding, heated auto dimming side mirrors. We also have 20-inch aluminum wheels, which look really good on this thing. We also have the aluminum body side moldings and the aluminum trim along the cabin. In the rear is our QX60 badge, our all-wheel drive badge, and of course that Infiniti nameplate across the back. We also have aluminum roof rails here that come on the sensory trim, continuing that aluminum look and theme to it. And as a personal opinion, I think this darker blue looks really good here. I've had this in red, I've seen it in gray and a couple of different other colors. I think this blue or a dark black really suits the lines of the Infiniti QX60. And talking about the overall size of the QX60, you have 198.2 inches in total length. Your wheelbase is 114.2 inches. The total width is 78 inches. The height is 69.7 inches. And with that, let's go ahead and pop the hatch. It is an auto popping hatch. You also have the motion controlled lift gate. You can also pop it from the key or a button inside. But this is a mid-size crossover. It's not a full-size crossover, so it's a bit tighter. With the third row up, you're looking at 14.5 cubic feet of cargo volume, which is decent, but definitely not really big if you're doing a lot of groceries or a lot of stuff in the back. It's hard to keep that third row up. Now you can drop that third row, and behind the second row, you're looking at 41.6 cubic feet, which is definitely plenty for pretty much any occasion. But if you are getting something even bigger, you can drop the second row as well, and the full cargo volume for this thing is 75.4 cubic feet. So if you're looking for a 3-row SUV that you're gonna be carrying the family in and you want some cargo volume, this might not be the option for you. It is a bit tighter, but if you're using that third row in a pinch and you don't always need to be carrying stuff in the back, it'll work out just fine. With that, let's go ahead and check out the engine under the hood, and then we'll move into the interior. All right, and under the hood here is a 3.5 liter V6 engine. This isn't the variable compression engine that you would find in the QX50 or 55. It's still a really solid engine though. Here you're pushing 295 horsepower, 270 pound-feet of torque. And the big thing there is that it's matched up to a 9-speed automatic transmission. It's not matched up to a CVT, and that makes a huge difference in the drive. If you've seen my QX50 or 55 reviews, the big thing that I do kind of harp on there is the CVT transmission. This one, you don't have that issue at all. Super good engine, super good transmission. This does have the Intelligent All-Wheel Drive system from Infiniti, which is a good system. We'll talk more about as we drive the vehicle. And basically, no matter what trim you get, you can tow up to 3,500 pounds, which is a decent amount. I don't see people towing much more. You might have a camping trailer or something back there, but with that, let's go ahead and close up the hood and check out the interior, starting with the rear seats in mid-row. All right, guys, so here in the rear seats, we'll kind of start off with the third row seating. You can see we push the button here, it pushes up and folds forward, and you have a decent size third row. These seats can be pushed forward or back, but there's not a ton of space back there. This is not my favorite 3-row crossover. If you've got a big family and you're actually using that third row, it can work if you've got smaller kids or if you need it in a pinch, but again, it wouldn't be my first option. But you do have nice conveniences back here like charging ports and cup holders and whatnot. But that's the third row. Let's talk about the second row seating, which is a bit more inviting. Again, you can go forward or all the way back. So if you need to give the kids in the back row a little bit more leg room, you can come forward, and you still do have a good amount of knee room and foot room here. It's just a bit more cramped. All the way back, you got plenty of knee room and foot room, plenty of headroom here. It is a nice, comfortable seat. The second row, as well as the front seats, are genuine leather. The third row is not. You do have a pull-down armrest with cup holders. These seats here in the second row are heated seats. You also got your own AC and heat controls. You got a USB Type-C, USB Type-A charging port, as well as a plug, 120 volt charging port. Got your own AC vents. All really nice back here. As far as the luxury crossover market goes, this is a lot of bang for the buck. Let's go ahead and move up to the front seat, to the driver's seat, and check out some of the tech and the rest of the interior. All right, and here in the driver's seat is where a lot of the stuff comes to life. We do have this really nice brown leather interior. These seats are super nice looking, super comfortable. They're a little bit bolstered, which is nice, but not too bolstered. We do have black open-pore ash wood interior trim, which looks super good, as well as some piano black shiny bits and some chrome shiny bits or brushed aluminum shiny bits. Let me go ahead and pick you up and give you a look around. All right, and first thing we'll do is kick it on. It is push button start. So we'll push in the brake and hit the push button, and you immediately do start moving forward. The steering wheel moves into place. And you can see we do have a bit of a different setup. If you've seen some other Infiniti reviews, we don't have the stacked monitors here anymore. We have one large 12.3-inch display with Infiniti's InTouch system. You do have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto as well. Overall, the design of the user interface isn't my favorite out there, but it is decent enough. I just wouldn't call it luxurious looking. Moving down from that are your vents here with this nice shiny piano black, and then all your AC and heat controls as well as audio controls here. You can see that's a very shiny piano black surface as well, very reflective. You can see my hand in the camera and everything. You do have heated and cooled seats, heated steering wheel, all of your AC controls, a day-night mode for your infotainment system. Down even further, we do have a USB Type-C and USB Type-A charging port back here. This is also a phone charging pad, so you can throw your phone down there and it will start wirelessly charging. Always cool. We have our electronic gear shifter here. Push the button in and push up for reverse, which will bring up our 360 camera and reverse camera and some parking sensors to let you know I'm close to the edge right there. Pull it back, you're in drive, Push the button, you're in park. We do have drive modes with a little toggle right here. You're looking at Eco, Auto, Sport, and Personal. Basically the entire week I've been driving it in Auto. We'll talk more about those as we drive the thing. You also have your Auto off for your shut off feature. So you can turn that off so the vehicle does not shut off when you come to a stop. Further back is your electronic parking brake, and then a wheel to help interface with your infotainment system. Obviously it is still a touch screen, but you can still use this to help navigate, which is nice to have. Kind of the best of both worlds. If you want to use this, you can use it. If you want to use a touch screen, you can use it. And again, I do like the one horizontally aligned screen over a dual stacked screen in the other Infinitis and older QX60s. You do have your camera button here that will bring up that 360 camera again. Armrest is nice and padded. Good size cubby there with another charging port. Moving on to the steering wheel, it is a good size steering wheel. Nice, kind of beefy, but not too beefy, not too sporty. A little bit of a flat bottom, but not super flat. You do have all your controls here that you would expect, including your Pro Pilot button there. Behind the steering wheel is another 12.3-inch screen for your driver information display, all digital. You can toggle through certain pages from steering wheel controls. Pretty standard stuff there. We also do have the Bose Performance 17 speaker audio system, which is really good, has a lot of bass if that's what you're into. We have a nice large 10.8-inch head-up display, which gives you a lot of information as well. We have a smart rear view mirror. So this is the rear view camera displayed in the rear view mirror. And one of the great features in the sensory trim is not only do we have heated and cooled seats, a heated steering wheel, these seats are also massaging seats. So super comfortable and massaging. There's only one massaging setting, but it works out. With that, let's go ahead and get this thing out on the road, talk about how it drives. All right, taking off, the first thing to notice, the seats are super comfortable. The driving position is really nice, and the vehicle is pretty quiet. You don't have a lot of road noise in this. You don't have a lot of wind noise in this. It's just a nice, smooth, luxurious feeling drive. You do have that sport mode, and we can flick it into sport mode real quick and push on the gas. Makes the exhaust louder, really gets this thing up and going. It's a pretty powerful V6 engine, no turbo lag or anything like that, so that makes it feel even more sporty. And of course that 9-speed automatic transmission, while it might have to roll through a lot of speeds, it feels a lot better than a CVT. It is one of the things I've harped on some of the other Infinitis that do have CVTs. They would really feel a lot more sporty and a lot better of a drive if they had just regular automatic transmissions. I'll always push for that. So if you get annoyed for hearing me say that, just know it's just one of the things that I'll always push for. But in here we do have a lot of great luxury, including those heated massaging seats, nice steering wheel, heated steering wheel, feels great in the hands. We've got the Pro Pilot 360. So the Pro Pilot is an assist feature with navigation link, steering assist, speed limit assist, speed adjust by route intelligent cruise control with stop and hold. All of that means it uses the radars in the vehicle as well as the navigation system to help keep you in your lane. It will change speeds for you as the speeds on the road change. It will slow you down and even stop and hold you without you having to use the brake. And like I've said plenty of times, Pro Pilot is one of the better systems on the market in both Nissans and Infinitis. It does a really great job keeping you in the lanes. It uses navigation plus the radars in the vehicle to keep you in the lane. It knows the speed limits on the road, so it'll keep you the speed limit. So if it changes up, it'll speed you up. If it changes down, it'll slow you down so you don't get a ticket if you're not paying close enough attention. I've done road trips using Pro Pilot where I've spent the majority of the time during the road trip not paying close attention with not hands on the wheel. It's just one of the more reliable, really fantastic systems. I know I didn't give a good look at the head-up display, but it is a really nice head-up display. Not as crisp as some of them that I've seen, even from Infiniti, but it's a good system. Shows you a lot of different information. I've always been a big fan of head-up displays, so any vehicle that has one gets an extra bump up mark for me. I do like having the Intelligent All-Wheel Drive system, although I don't think it's really necessary here in Texas, especially North Texas. It comes in handy if it rains a lot and the roads get slick, but we don't get enough ice or snow to really make it worth it there. I would probably just get the front-wheel drive system, but if I live somewhere where it did get more snowy or the road conditions weren't as good, the all-wheel drive here is a good system. There were a few times this week where we did take some longer trips where I had the kids 3 wide in the middle seat. There was a few times where we took short trips where I did throw kids in the rear seats and we had this thing completely packed. Some crossovers, when you get it completely packed of kids and stuff, you really start feeling it weighed down. This definitely didn't feel like that. Still drove very solid, being completely packed, which is always something I look to because we definitely have had vehicles where the whole family gets in and the vehicle starts to struggle. Fuel economy in here isn't fantastic, but it's decent for a 3-row crossover. The entire week I've had this thing that's pushing it a lot more city driving than highway driving and leaving it idle as we're doing video. I've averaged 20.9 miles per gallon, so almost 21 miles to the gallon. I'm sure with a little bit more careful of a foot, more highway driving and not letting the thing idle as much, you can definitely do a lot better than that. And of course, one of the things I also say in almost all my Infiniti reviews is just looking out over the hood and you see the bulges over the wheels, over the hood, you know you're in something that looks a little bit different, a little bit more sporty, a little bit better, luxurious looking than most of the stuff on the road, and it feels good. But with that, I think that about does it for the driving portion of this review. Let's pull back over. We'll talk about the price of this thing, where I think that fits in the market, and then I'll wrap it up with some of my final thoughts. Let's keep going. All right, before we jump out and start wrapping this thing up, let's quickly talk about the price of this vehicle, of the QX60 in general. Starting off with the base MSRP of the QX60 at $49,200. So just under $50,000 for a base MSRP for a luxury 3-row crossover. Not terrible. It is a pretty high bar to get to for larger families looking to get into a luxury crossover, but it is attainable. This one, the Sensory, has a base price just over $60,000. We have the Vision package for $1,500, the lighting package for $795, and the premium paint for $695. That with the destination charge of $1,195 brings the MSRP to $64,785. So that $65,000 is a pretty big jump from the $50,000 base price. If you're wanting to get into this trim, it's gonna cost you a bit more. Still competitive in the market, but a pretty good chunk of change, especially if you do have a larger family that will fill this thing up. With that, let's jump out and talk about some of my final thoughts, and we'll wrap up the video there. All right, so finally, after a full week with the QX60, I'm left basically with the same opinion that I've had for the last couple of times I've driven this new QX60, and just a reinforcement of my ideas of the rest of Infiniti's lineup. The QX60 is definitely my favorite SUV in Infiniti's lineup. The QX50 and 55 both have a little bit of issues. The interior is still a little bit more outdated than this thing. That CVT instead of an actual automatic transmission can be an issue. I think the looks of all their SUVs are stellar. They all have a really good similarity to them and a good distinction between each model. But I definitely like the QX60 the most for an all-around vehicle. If I was looking for a 3-row SUV for a family, this is probably not what I would choose unless you got small kids. Like I said, the rear seat is not great on size, but it can work in a pinch, or if you've got small kids. If you do have that rear seat up and you're trying to pack for a vacation or something, that cargo volume is not going to cut it. But if you're just using the mid-row and you have those seats folded down, plenty of room. And just the driving dynamics and everything else with this thing are really great. Definitely one I'd recommend if you're looking at Infiniti's lineup. If you're going for something smaller, the QX50 or 55, both really great vehicles. If you want something bigger, the QX80 is also a really great vehicle, but again, there I would be looking at a couple of different options if you're wanting a big 3-row, especially for the price that you're gonna pay for a QX80. With that, I hope you did enjoy the video. If you did, please hit the thumbs up button. Leave me a comment down below. Let me know what you think about the QX60, especially compared to the other models from Infiniti, and what you think really competes with it in the space. Also, consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't already. We do a different review every week. And if you're into luxury crossovers or family crossovers, we do a lot of that around here. Also, consider checking out txgarage.com, where we've got a lot of written reviews as well as event and news coverage from a lot of great authors over there. But with that, guys, thanks for watching.